Kyler Murray. Oh, I can't believe this got out, but Kyler Murray has a homework clause in his contract. So it really is. So he could get, is this how it works, Bri? He can get fined up to how many millions of dollars if he doesn't engage in at least 4 hours of what's called independent study during each week of the season, from the Monday after training camp ends through the last game on the schedule, including postseason games.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it works. Like if he misses just one, or I don't know how this works. But I thought they said he could risk up to like $100 million. Like
that's what I guess saw. Yeah,
if they could cut I don't know if they could end the contract early or whatever it is. I'm not sure
if he fully disregards this, and so for them to put this in this, because we've talked to GMs and we have friends, and they said I've never seen this before. This means this guy does no homework.
So bad.
And if you go by his interviews, he says, yeah, I have the cognitive ability to not have to rely on tape. I mean, he said that in the past. So they're like, hey, we're giving you all this money. Probably, kid, what does the average quarterback do? Like 4 or 5 hours a day? This is 4 hours for the whole week? Are you kidding me? Watching tape, reading?
That's probably got to be the bare minimum for a professional quarterback, I would assume, too. They're asking him to do the bare minimum when it comes to that.
Yeah, I feel like if we break down a Cardinals-Rams game for the week, we will spend a combined 4 hours going over materials, trying to figure it out.
100%.
What the hell is this? Players shall not receive any credit for independent study during any which materials is played on an iPad or electronic device. Player is not personally studying or watching the material while it is being displayed or played. Players engage in other activities that may distract his attention. For example, watching television, playing video games, or browsing the internet. I don't know who's monitoring this, but good God. And
they got the software to monitor that.
Darren studied opposing softball teams more.
It's true. Well, I mean, I don't know about studying, but at the bar afterwards, when we'd have our Diet Cokes and eat chicken wings, we'd talk about it for like 2.5 hours. Yeah. So there's that. Crazy. This is an embarrassment, because if he's all of a sudden good and you're a Cardinals fan, you're like, hey, asshole, thanks for wasting 3 years, right?
Yeah.
And if he's bad, there's a question that he's not living up to this deal here. So
that's correct.
Yeah, Parlay Kid prepares way more than this for a middle school football game. Way more.
Right.
In terms of like just yeah.
Yeah. Well, at least when I was the head coach. Yeah, definitely.
But your quarterback probably does too. Like, right? I mean, just at least read up on past results and stuff.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Should we have this in Harry's contract? A clause like this in Harry's contract? Like, you must watch 46% of the Super Bowl. Something like
I was
that.
thinking
I don't know.
This is along the lines of what Harry. I mean, Harry could sit here and critique Kyler Murray, but Harry didn't even watch the Super Bowl this year. So and he's done that.
Yeah, that's true.
He doesn't.
I will say, I don't agree with this Kyler Murray thing, but in fairness, maybe I missed 80% of the Super Bowl, but the picks I gave out that week all pretty much won. So where's the line here, Parlay Kid?
Right.
Well, I don't know where the line is. Yeah. I mean, he's done well not watching tape, and then he's done shitty towards the end of the year. I mean, maybe you can only have 3.5 favorite teams per year. I don't know what kind of limitations we do, right? You can only wear the same weed-centric T-shirt 3 times a week. I don't know. Maybe we should have some of these clauses in there for you, Harry. Everyone's being monitored now. But anyway, we have props up on Kyler Murray. His rushing yards for the year, over-unders 500.5. His passing touchdowns, over-under 24.5. His passing yards, over-unders 4,000.5. We're going to go through these. My favorites, your favorites, guys. Let's start. I'm going rushing yards under. 500.5, 423 last year. Almost half of what he had in 2020, 88 attempts versus 103. I just think that number goes down. He shouldn't become a pocket passer. And if he watches any tape of himself, maybe that's the problem, Parlay Kid. He hasn't watched tape of himself in the pocket versus when he's able to scramble. But
absolutely.
He shouldn't become a pocket passer. And so that's probably what he's going to do, is going to become a pocket passer. These guys run less and less as the years go on. We see it with Russell Wilson. We're going to see it with Josh Allen, I'm sure. There was only 2 games last year where he had 60 yards or more rushing. I'm not even sure he reaches 423 total from last year. I'm going under 500.5. Harry, you like over? I like under on all these anyway. You know how that is. That's how that's how I stay above water a little bit at least. Good. You like over though.
I do 1,800 yards in 3 seasons. I think TPK nailed it a couple shows ago when he said he got his contract locked down. Now maybe he can focus a little more in terms of running the ball, because last year there were so many times. Yes, Al, his numbers were down, no doubt about it. But there were so many times we were texting and watching these games with the Cardinals where it's obvious he could have taken off and gotten the first down and scrambled for 12 instead of throwing the ball and incomplete. And like, he just didn't do it for some reason. And maybe he was really focused on the contract more than anything else. Obviously, at the end of the season, they tanked again, awful in the playoffs. And he is not going to have DeAndre Hopkins for probably like 6 games. Did get Hollywood Brown, who he did play with in Oklahoma a little bit, but Hollywood Brown's only averaged in 3 seasons 800 yards per season as well, and was on one of the worst passing teams in the NFL in the Ravens the past couple of years. Last year ran 45 times. In 20, he ran 45 times more than last year. I think maybe he changes it around a little bit, and 500 yards is not that many considering what he's done the 2 years before last year. So I'm going to go over 500.
It's a lot considering last year, but yes, if you go back years and years, But no, I look, this is the way to do it. You say for some reason he didn't run. Well, it's not completely nonsensical. He was looking to get a contract, right? So if he tears his ACL running, he's not going to get that long-term deal that he now has. So now that he has it, what does he do, Parlay? Does he go back to his regular way of playing, the winning way? Or does he still try to, is it self-preservation the rest of the way? I'm not sure. That's what we have to see.
I'm not sure either. And it would trend to him not running as much just because that seems what most quarterbacks end up doing, that somebody's in their ear. Now, if I'm a Cardinals fan, I want to see my quarterback playing to his strengths, even if that means risking maybe a possible injury and damaging the season, because unless Murray is using his legs to go along with his arm, the Cardinals are a team that's going to be in contention to win a Super Bowl. If Murray is the guy that we see in those first 3 or 4 games of the year, we're like, oh man, he's throwing, he's running, he's doing everything. The Cardinals could overachieve this year because I don't think any of us think they're going to have a great year this year. No. But he needs to do those things. If he's going to be a pocket passer, the Cardinals are staring like 7-10 or 8-9 right in the face, right? That's what they're staring at. If he wants to run the ball, they could win 10 or 11 games this year, possibly. That's in my opinion.
Yeah, they have AFC West, not good. Worst draw you could get for a division. And NFC South, pretty good, I would say. And then their extra games are, what would it be? Eagles at Vikings. And who would their extra AFC team be? The Patriots? Does that make sense? Yeah, I think that's it. So I don't know. Do with that what you will. But okay, so you're going passing yards or touchdowns?
Yeah, I'm taking the under of passing yards, under 4,000 passing yards. Murray has not hit this yet in his career. Even in the full complement of 16 games, first few seasons, he didn't hit it. Last year, he would have hit it if he played in his full allotment of games. But this is a guy that if I'm predicting he's going to run around a little bit more, he might get banged up a little bit more, might miss a game or two, and that's all it's going to take for him to go under. I think when there's a little bit of a question here, you go under. Plus, AJ Green, Marquise Brown, Rondale Moore. I don't know if that's scaring too many people at all. And even with Hopkins back, I think we saw Hopkins. He's suspended for 6 games? Is that what? Is that a suspension?
Yeah, they say he's going to maybe plan to appeal it, but he's stuck for 6. I'm pretty sure.
So
the tight end situation's not bad. They signed Zach. They stupidly, I think, drafted a tight end. This guy McBride in the second round when they have Max Williams, who's now PUP, and Zach Ertz. But
there's a lot of miles on these guys between Ertz, AJ Green, and even Hopkins. He was slow. He's slowing down considerably. I mean, he's not the same receiver he was 2 or 3 years ago.
That was a Harry Reach in the first round 2 years ago, I think, in our fantasy league. I was looking at
absolutely.
that.
Let me down. Totally let me down.
There you go.
So I don't know. I don't think there's one guy that he's going to throw to.
Ertz is damn good, though. Ertz is still pretty good.
He's got mileage on him, and he's still a tight end. The tight end is not going to make or break you as a quarterback, I feel like. Right there, that's your safety valve, etc. So I don't think he's going to be the guy that's going to put Murray over 4,000 yards. It's going to be his receivers, etc. And so I'm taking the under, because we know that unders anyway seem to hit at a much higher percentage than the overs. So
Ertz is not going to help
4,000
yardage wise. I think I'm trying to look at his red zone touches, because just in my head, I feel like he's had a lot.
He led the team in receiving yards.
18 total. Well, it was a mess. 18 total. There you go, for red zone targets last year, which is amongst the best in the league. Brian, you like it. You like that for him, and you like the touchdowns and 24.5. I think he was at 24 last year, right?
Well, that's the thing, right? So he was at 24 last year, but that was in 14 games, right? So if you actually looked at his past statistics, if he played 16 games last year, his numbers have improved actually from, yards, touchdowns, actually would have improved last year. But that's going to be the question if he can stay healthy. I do know what Harry's saying, that it's a question now that he got his contract, will he run a little bit more? I mean, he really should. However, even this clause in his contract, them trying to make him more of a passer in the pocket, to me, I do feel like maybe he'll run even less this year. So I know he's missing Hopkins for 6 games, which is going to be big, but he's going to be comfortable with his former teammate in Brown there. He's still going to have Green and Ertz and then Rondell Moore and Connor out of the backfield. So I think 20, I mean, if we think he is who we think he is in terms of like a pretty good quarterback, I mean, he should get into the upper 20s. 24.5 in 17 games is really low. So I think, again, it comes down to health. If he plays 14 games again, this should go over. But yeah, I know what you're saying, Sal. I mean, we love the unders in general for everybody, like as a whole, but I would
isolate it. Yeah,
I would still take this one over 24.5.
Well, Connor got a whole bunch of touchdowns last year.
You could say, well, all right, they're playing the AFC West. There's going to be some high scoring games. They're going to be behind. He's going to throw. I mean, that could be one of your points there. So.